So here's a story. Yep, finally after 18 months, I would be leaving Britain to a new and mysterious country, Ireland, where I can repent on how terrible we English really can be, and it's much closer than India or South Africa. Lovely. So join me, your host and sworn enemy of all woodland creatures, Chris, as I journey to the Emerald Isle. Let's go, shall we? I arrived at 7 PM on a Saturday, and only 12 hours later, I was due to be journeying on a tour of some of the coolest sights of Northern Ireland. We were picked up at 7:30 in the morning dog by the paddy wagon coach and whisked away. We would be travelling through Belfast and learning the history and mythology of the coolest sounding giant ever, Van McCool. Our first stop was the King's Road from Game of Thrones. Had a nice walk around, but let's be honest, there were far too many tourists around for what is essentially just a bunch of nice looking trees. After a quick stop off for some lunch, some vegan stew, we travelled to the most northern part of Northern Ireland to see the rope bridge and, of course, my main reason for coming here, the Giant's Causeway. Giant's Causeway is about an hour and a half drive or so from Belfast, which is about 3.5 hours from Dublin. Yeah, give or take. It's a beautiful coastline of volcanic basalt pillars and an incredibly windy place. And it's where I almost lost my green hat. I literally caught it in my hand before it blew off into the sea. This is important information for you, my friends, because what happened next was a true spanner in the works. Well, stranded at Giant's Causeway. Bloody paddy wagon. I was like a minute late, maybe 2 minutes, but I got lost in the cup again. That happens to me quite a lot. So now I'm going to walk down to Bushmills, try and get a train to Belfast, because a taxi costs £100. I mean, it is a while. So, I might have a chance of actually getting to the tour bus, because it's got my bag with my passport in it and everything, which is not great. I don't know where I am, and obviously I'm supposed to be in the Republic, not in the Northern Ireland, so fuck. Oh, see how this goes? Yep, you heard that right. I got lost finding the tour bus in a massive car park, and I was stranded. Luckily with my wallet, but without my passport and bag. And again, about 5 hours away from Dublin, by car. I didn't have a car. My only course of action was to walk down to the village of Bushmills and try to find a bus to Belfast. Then either find Paddy Wagon at the stop outside of Belfast City Hall, where I knew they were going, or get a train back to Dublin. Not an ideal circumstance, let me tell you. Especially since there was zero way for me to contact the tour company. The number just didn't go anywhere and the business was shut, as I later found out. Alright, it's about half an hour walk, 2 miles to Bushmills. Supposedly I can get a train to Belfast and might be able to catch them outside the City Hall in time, depending on what trains are like. God, who knows. But, yeah. Alright, nearly at Bushmills. 15 minutes left. Not really sure what I'm going to do when I get there. Yeah, apparently there aren't any trains in Bushmills, which is obvious. So I'm going to have to get a bus from there to another town with a train station, then train down to Belfast. It's probably going to take me at least a couple hours, but that's what you get for being like 90 seconds late, I guess. Oh well. Wouldn't be an adventure if something didn't go wrong. In retrospect, kind of wish I brought my bag with me. Wouldn't be such a bad idea because I have my passport and everything. I'm gonna have to email them when I get some Wi-Fi, try and figure out how to get that back. But Jesus Christ, imagine if I put my wallet in there. Fuck me. I mean, I would have died. There's nothing I would have been able to do. I mean, walk back to Belfast or Dublin even. Jesus. I'd have to wait 24 hours for the next bus to come. Doesn't matter because I do have my wall there. Oh good, it's starting to rain. Yep. Irish pheasants. There's a fuck ton of them. Oh, and pavement. Oh, I missed you. God. It's nice walking on pavement. Take it for granted, don't you? Oh, made it. Bushmills. Mind you, I don't think I'll ever have a glass of the whiskey again without getting a sour taste in my mouth. Oh, what an ordeal. Far from over yet, but it's only raining a little bit, I guess. I had a plan, at least. Catch the bus that would be arriving at 3 from Bushmills to Belfast about an hour later, after being stranded. I wasn't worried, it was just all a faff. That was at least until the bus I was waiting for drove right past me without stopping. That was not a good sign. A local started chatting to me, telling me that I should get a different bus to a different village that could give me a different train to Belfast and I could get another train to Dublin. But before I could even retain all that information, a Christmas miracle happened. The Paddy Wagon, with a big shout out to my boy Dermot, found me. Recognising my green hat of all things, he stopped and I was luckily picked up. Extremely embarrassed in front of everyone, but rescued at least. We arrived at Belfast in the evening, and I assumed they were already there, but it turns out they went for a walk around Winterfell Castle for a bit, I think. So it was just blind luck that they found me. I had to walk around Belfast, but mostly I was just desperate for a piss, and every public toilet was closed, and most shops and chains weren't letting people in for either COVID reasons or because it was 5 o'clock on Sunday, and they were closing. And you better believe I was the first person back on the bus. I was like 20 minutes early. Finally, I'd be returning home to Dublin, and I could wash the shame right off me. Worth noting, I was staying at this place called Jacob's Inn in the city centre, which had these really cool and very cosy pod beds. The next day, I was humming and hawing about what to do, and on a whim, I found a free walking tour nearby. And funnily, almost all of the other people in the group were from the same hostel. Our main man Keith would whisk us through all the major historical places and tell us all about the city that we needed to know. After that, I would just wander the streets by myself, exploring in my own way, as I always do. The next day, I had a list of completely free museums I wanted to try and see. A lot of them were closed, but I started off with the National Art Gallery, which is pretty cool. Then I would journey towards the Archaeological Museum, where I would actually I've just run into a fellow Englishman called Christian, who I met the day before on the walking tour. The museum itself was really cool and had some pretty gnarly looking bog mummies, so content warning if you don't want to see some completely preserved innards in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, it's Bob Buddy time. Afterwards, we went to the Chester Beatty Library in the centre of town. And because it was my last evening, it was only right that me and Christian would go to an Irish rock pub. Then that was the end of my trip around the other island. Back home in time to see a sunrise over London. Then I had a train ride to Cambridge and then to Ely to see my mum again for a few days. But enough about that, let's summarise. In this episode, I had 7 pints of Guinness in total. Times I missed my bus, it was just once, don't worry. And times I unnecessarily apologised to an Irish person for being English, 5. 5 times I did that. Tune in to the next thrilling Unbound episode where I'll be travelling domestically again, but up north to see some friends.